Welcome back to 340 Study Skills Project Week 6, Task 6, Writing Our Proposal. And in this part, we are going to be finding the main ideas in our information sheets that we want to include in our proposals. So let's get started. So let's start by looking at my example Norway proposal. So here it is. In my opinion, SQU's travel club should consider Norway for its first international trip. Norway is a European country located in Scandinavia above the Arctic Circle. It is a cold country with many fjords or rivers and mountains, so the natural scenery is very different from Oman. Norway is a great place for tourism students because it has a lot of great opportunities for hiking, skiing, and cycling. Engineering students can take a drive up the beautiful mountainous Trollstigen Highway to learn about building mountainous roads. Students studying history can visit Viking Skip Sjuset to see old Viking ships, Viking artifacts, and Viking arts and crafts. All students like a good cup of coffee, but tourism and business and marketing students will want to visit Tim Wendelboe Coffee to learn about a successful international business. This world-famous coffee shop roasts all its beans in the shop and offers coffee tasting workshops. As you can see, a trip to Norway would definitely benefit SQU students from a variety of majors and colleges and offer a unique contrast to life in Oman. So, how did I do that? I'm going to now take you through the steps to writing your proposal. So the first step is to find the main points in your destination overview section of your information sheet. So this is the part that we first filled in with our initial research, those first 3 articles about our destination, right? To help us understand what is the main features of our destination. And I'm going to start with my first 2 columns, geography and climate and type of travel, and find in these columns, in these sections, what are the main points I want to include in my proposal. So I've gone through and highlighted a few of the main points that I also found in my attractions. So I know that I'm proposing at least that we visit, the mountains and that we do some active travel and that we go and learn about Vikings. So this is some things from my destination overview that I also found later when I was researching my attractions. And so those are some main points, remember they're repeated again and again, that I want to include in my proposal. I don't have to include everything. That it's near Sweden, Finland, Denmark is a little bit of extra information that I don't really need in my proposal. And also, I'm not suggesting any attractions that include wildlife, so I'm not going to include that in my proposal. If I look at the next column of interesting facts, they are interesting, but again, none of my attractions really talk about any of these facts. So I am not going to include them in my proposal. However, if I were, for example, suggesting or recommending an attraction that would include 24 hours of sunlight in summer, perhaps maybe an overnight camping trip, I might want to include this bit of information. It's really about what kind of attractions I am suggesting for this trip. So for my proposal, I'm not going to include any of this information. In my presentation, I might want to include some of that information. And finally, this last column here about the major attractions, I am going to be talking about that, but I want to look at the next part of my information sheet where I go into more details about these attractions to find that information. So the next step, after I found the information in my destination overview that I want to include is to find the main points in the attractions section. And again, I'm only going to be focusing here on the highlights of the visit because, again, my proposal is just that. It's about the highlights of these different attractions. So I only want to find what are the main points that I want to include in my proposal. When I get to my presentation, I'll go into more detail. But for the proposal, I just want to find the main points. These next two columns with hours and cost are unnecessary. Again, this is information I want to include in my presentation, but my proposal is short, sweet, getting the attraction. This is unnecessary. I do want to include, though, information from this column about connection to SQU, because again, this proposal, this is going to SQU students to get their attention for why SQU students should visit my destination. So I do want to pick up what are the main points here. So history students, engineering students, I want to include that information in my presentation. Okay, and then my last step is to put all of that information together into a paragraph using my own words. I don't want to copy from a website or an article. I want to take those little notes, put them into sentences, put those sentences into a paragraph to make a great proposal. Okay, so now I want you to go and look at your information sheet and see if you can find your main ideas. And then we'll come back, and for our last part, we'll go into a little bit more detail about how we put this all together into a paragraph. Good luck.